Hey guys, welcome back here to the Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel for today's episode. And guys, today I'm going to give you some tips and advice on fishing boat ramps. Boat ramps are some of the most consistent bass producers on any lake. A lot of times they're so obvious, they're inobvious, and there's some tricks and tips I want to give you guys to pass along, because I never pass them up, guys. I've caught a ton of good tournament fish that have made the difference between making checks or not off a boat ramp. So we're going to talk about that in today's episode and give you guys some good insight on fishing the boat ramps here. Also, guys, thank you very much, man, for everybody that's taken time to subscribe here to the Fishing Teacher or join as a Fishing Teacher channel member. Appreciate that. And guys, real quick, we've only got a couple more days left on the big solar bat sale on my Signature Series RB2 and 3s. Right now, through the month of July, just a couple more days left, you can get them at 50% off. So I'll put the solar bat link in the description of this video. Use the promo code RandyB for free shipping and handling, and get you some of these good solar bats. Appreciate that. Okay, guys, let me turn the camera around here. I'm going to turn it around. Sorry about the waves. It's really busy out here today. It's Friday, and a lot of people are out getting ready for the weekend. But I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you some of the key features on these boat ramps, and then we're going to discuss how to fish them. So okay, here is a very typical boat ramp scenario. This is a public boat ramp here, but they don't have to be public ramps. They can be residential ramps without all the stuff, because they still have the same features. Now, what you're going to notice about a lot of boat ramps is they have riprap in between the ramp itself. Now, this is basically to keep erosion down. And a lot of times the riprap banks themselves can be really key features. You can catch fish on the riprap part. One of my favorite type of deals. We'll talk a little bit here in a second about technique, but don't ever pass up the riprap around these. And another thing is on the ramp itself, how a ramp is structured is you really need to understand that too. A lot of times on the edges of the ramp, on both sides of them, they'll put those same riprap rocks to line it, to keep it from eroding out underneath the concrete. So always make sure that you cast along the edges of those ramps. Those can be really good areas. And one structure that you can't see that you need to realize goes on here is there's usually a depression at the end of the ramp here, because say for example, when you put your boat on the trailer, a lot of times people are gunning their motor to get the boat on the trailer, and it prop washes out an area at the end of the ramp there. So sometimes you'll have a 2 or 3 foot hole at the end of the ramp, and the bass love to be on those. And also, you can't ever pass up the dock. Most docks or most ramps have a courtesy dock on them, or a lot of them do. Courtesy docks can hold a lot of fish here. So let's talk a little bit about technique. Okay, it's been my experience that boat ramps will hold fish pretty much anytime the water temperature is over about 45 degrees. So I haven't caught much off of ramps if it's below 45 degrees, but if the water is 45 degrees or warmer, there's always going to be some bass around ramps, because it's a hard structure. It's rock, it's concrete. It's basically no different than a rocky bank. It holds heat, it'll absorb heat a lot of times, a little bit warmer than the nearby areas. So I fish ramps, anywhere between, well, actually 12 months out of the year if the water's over 45 degrees. So based upon the time of the year, that's going to dictate the technique. Okay, if I'm fishing in a water temperature situation between, say, 45 to 55 degrees, my number one bait is a jerk bait. I'll just fish a jerk bait in and around the ramp, over the top of the ramp, on the riprap banks around it. Just saturate the whole area with the jerk bait. Don't get focused specifically on the ramp itself. You also got to remember that the fish will utilize this other structure right adjacent to the ramp. Obviously, the ramp's going to be the key feature, but don't just fish the ramp itself. So I'll fish it with a jerk bait, and then also I'll fish it with a flat side crankbait if the water temperature is between 45 and 55. Some type of a flat side crankbait, especially if the water has a little bit of stain to it. If the water's a little bit cleaner, the jerk bait, a little bit of stain, the flat side crankbait. Now, once that water temperature starts to get above 55 degrees, and sort of when it's between 55 to 70 degrees, doesn't make any difference if it's in the springtime of the year or the fall, that's when I'm going to go to my slower baits. So shaky head's probably my favorite. Just casting the shaky head on the concrete ramp there. Ned rig can be really good. In and around the spawn, a wacky rig, something slow falling, Texas rig, finesse jig, just something on the bottom. Cast it up to the ramp and work it all around the ramp, work it out a little bit deeper, out away from it. Sometimes I've even caught them on a Carolina rig, you know, out 30 feet in front of the ramp. So that's the water temperature zone for that particular situation. Now, once the water temperature gets over 75 degrees, more in the post-spawn period in the summertime, like this time of year, you got to get out there right off the bat, guys, and you can catch them on the top water. A chugger, like a little popper or something like that, Megabass Pop Max, fishing that popper in and around the ramp and the riprap, great way to catch them. I've caught a ton of fish on a popper. And then if up in the day sometimes, you can still catch them on some slow baits like a Texas rig worm, but they're really not that good up in the daytime, excuse me, once that temperature gets warm, except at night. Boat ramps are magnets for night fishing. So I know a lot of you guys may or may not fish at night. If you do, throw like a black spinnerbait or Texas rig worm. And then finally, don't forget, you know, the ramp, or excuse me, the dock itself, if there's a courtesy dock. Fall time of year, usually moving bait, something like a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, some type of crankbait. Seems like to me, once that water temperature starts falling a little bit, like in October, November, you can catch them on those moving baits. A buzz bait can be really good in the fall time of the year. And of course, the technique is going to be dictated again by your water clarity in correlation with your water temperature. But a couple different things about it. Don't let boat traffic affect you. Like if there's a lot of activity, like, you know, if there's people backing in and out and goosing their motor, those fish are used to it. Guys, those bass that live here, that are residents of these boat launches, they're used to that. They're used to people walking and talking on the dock. They're used to people backing that trailer in and out. I have literally caught fish off of boat ramps where people are backing their boat in right next to them. I remember when I was a kid one time, my dad was launching the boat and I was throwing a cream plastic worm off the boat. I was just, you know, 5 or 6 feet off the boat ramp, and I was on the bank and I was throwing it parallel to the boat ramp while my dad was putting the boat in, and I caught about a 3-pound bass down at Grand Lake. So they're very conditioned to noise and very conditioned to, you know, activity. So don't let that scare you away. But main thing, guys, is every lake has got ramps. Don't pass them up. They're worth your time. And if I can give you one time frame as far as when ramps are the best, in my opinion, it's during the late pre-spawn. Right before those fish get on the beds, like when that water temperature's 55 to 59 degrees, something like that. That, to me, it seems like when the most and the biggest fish will use the ramp area. So anyway, I hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.